I'm Anne-Marie and I'm joined today by Mavis Karn. Mavis is best known for being the author of an open letter called The Secret that she wrote for young offenders. She is a coach, a consultant, a mentor, and I'm really pleased to have her join me today. So Mavis, first I'd like to ask you how you came across the three principles understanding and what your life looked like prior to coming across the understanding, and if it impacted you any way, and what changes you made in your life as a result.
Oh Lord, how long do you have? Well, let's say my life before, I learned the principles over 40 years ago now. So my life before that was kind of normal chaos. I was a single mom of 3 kids, worked full time, tried to go to school. And I worried a lot, but I wasn't miserable, but I worried a lot. My mom taught me. She was a world champ worrier, so I got really good at it. Let's see, when I first learned about this, I was working at a place called the Bridge for Runaway Youth in Minneapolis. I'd been there for a few years, and I worked in the usual way to find out what was wrong with people and then try and fix it. That got real exhausting because I could diagnose people and tell them what was wrong with them, but I didn't know how to teach people how to be happy. Had no clue, and nobody ever mentioned that in either undergraduate or graduate school. Nobody ever mentioned how to help people be happy. So I suppose it wasn't surprising that I didn't know how. So, but anyway, one day, my boss said somebody had invited him to a workshop at the University of Minnesota Graduate School, and he couldn't go. Did I want to go? And I didn't even care what it was about. I got 2 days off work, fine with me. So I went, and it turned out it was 3 PhD psychologists from Florida who had spent some time with a man named Sid Banks. And that by itself didn't mean anything to me, but they started talking about what they had learned. And it turns out what they had learned is that all human experience is created by our individual thinking. I didn't hear a whole lot after that. I thought the top of my head was going to come off because it was like, that's it. It was like, I knew that was the truth. And I'd like to say then magically I was transformed into this person that could fly and do miracles and all that. Not so. I spent the next, I don't know, weeks, months throwing every argument I could at it. Because I wasn't used to kind of just taking somebody's word for something. So I remember thinking, okay, I'm a single mom with 3 kids. Half the time I don't have enough money. I'm really tired. That can't be my thinking. That's not my thinking. That's the situation that's making me feel that way. But then I would ask myself, well, does everybody in that same situation feel exactly the same way for exactly the amount of time I do? And I couldn't say yes to that. So I was willing to consider it might have something to do with thinking. But I would throw all kinds of things like that. Well, what if somebody dies? And what if this? And what if you get really sick? And what if somebody breaks up with you and all of that? That's not my thinking. Well, every time I said, but does everybody feel exactly the same way? Does everybody experience those circumstances in exactly the same way? And I could never come up with one that I could say yes to. So gradually I quit trying to disprove the whole thing and got more interested in the truth behind it. And I've kind of been at that ever since. It's not like I think I'm done learning about it. On the other hand, it is so simple. It is so simple that you wouldn't think it would take forever to get good at it. But we're so used to, kind of believing everything we think and acting on it and making decisions based on it. And the idea that the less you try to figure everything out, the clearer things get, is foreign to most of us. And even though it's all very, very simple, it's not particularly easy to be simple at first. It's clumsy, it's awkward. We want to figure it out. We want to be able to explain it to ourselves. After that 2-day weekend, I went back on Monday morning, and all I knew for sure is that I couldn't work with people the same way I had been working with them. I knew that, like the sun was going to come up the next day. I knew that. The problem is I didn't know what I was going to do instead, because I had no idea how to explain what I had just heard. I'd try to in my head to explain it, and it all sounds so far-fetched. I thought nobody's going to believe that, and so I decided that I just needed to be straight with my clients, and I had a full schedule. So I began with each of them and saying, I learned something over the weekend that makes it impossible for me to keep working with you in the way I have been working with you. But I have this list of really nice people who are really good at their job, and I'd like to refer you to them. Nobody took me up on it. I thought they were all crazy. Nobody took me up on, how would you like your therapist to come in and say, I can't work with you anymore, and I don't know what I'm going to do instead, and I learned something over the weekend, but I don't know what it is. Would you trust somebody like that? It was just crazy. But I found out later from a couple of the moms that called me and said, were you wondering why we stuck with you? And I thought, to say the least, yes, I was wondering about it. And she said, because we could see something happen to you. And we wanted to know what that was because we wanted that. Now, Sid Banks always said, it's all about the feeling. Everything's about the feeling. And I should have seen right away that was an example of it. I was just being myself and telling the truth as I knew it, but they could see something. So I did gradually get better at talking about it, but it took a while. It took a while because there weren't any books, I went to see Sid many times, and then there started to be other people that had been at it longer than me that had workshops and so forth, and I got better and better and better at it, and I'm still getting better at it and better at it. What was the question?
Just how it's changed your life in some way. So I think you've answered that quite well. I'm also quite interested, because you're well known for writing The Secret, how that came about. I'm writing that for the
okay.
juvenile offenders.
Does everybody know what that is? Sort of. Okay. Well, about it's 20 years ago now, I did a 2-year project in a big county in Minnesota, Hennepin County, where Minneapolis is, with kids in prison. Lots of kids from gangs and so forth. And so every Sunday for 2 years, I would drive down an hour south to a kids' prison. and have classes, and I teach this. And they weren't exactly thrilled to see me at first. It was like I was a shrink, and none of them thought much of shrinks. And I was a woman, and that wasn't going well. And I was quite a lot older than all of them, and that didn't go too well. For some of them, I was the wrong color. So they weren't like, oh, yay, Mavis is here. So they got over it pretty quick. But I had a wonderful time with them. This is easy to teach to kids because I think this is why. I think it's because they don't have such death grips on their beliefs, and they're curious, and they're kind of rude about being curious, but that's okay. They're curious, and so it all went just noisily and crazily well. It accomplished what we all wanted it to accomplish, which is to have these kids see their own worth, to have them see that they are not what they've gotten in trouble for. They are not the bad things they did. They are not their past. They're not their history. They are a way bigger deal than that. And for the most part, that happened in all the myriad ways that can happen. So on the last day of my 2 years with them, they had a little, the one I'd see them when they got out of prison too. So the ones that were out were going to have a little party for me, and they made a cake, which is just I've never seen such a mess of a cake, but it was a nice cake. Anyway, as I was leaving my office to go there, I thought I want to give them something, and so I just sat down and wrote them a letter. 15 minutes. That's the letter. I just made copies of it and handed it out to them. It ended up somehow in the Stillwater prison, which is a prison for the big boys. And one of the prisoners in the art class made a poster out of it. And he let me make posters out of it too, which was nice of him. So, and it seems to have gotten wings. It's, a little 15-minute letter, just straight from my heart. I just love these kids. So that's the story of that.
I was listening to a podcast you did with Michael Neal, and he said that they had a nickname for you, OG.
Yeah. I thought that meant old grandmother. It never occurred to me to ask what that meant, but finally one of them straightened me out. And it means original gangster. Me? I know it was meant well, but fortunately the rest of my friends don't call me that. So.
If people wanted to work with you, how would they get in contact with you? Because I know you don't do much marketing.
Much, right? Like none. Although it's not so much that I'm getting better at it, because I don't know how to. It's never come up as a strong need, and if it did, I wouldn't know how to do it anyway. But I have an assistant now that she's literally an angel. I am totally allergic to technology. It's one of my things that I think is an exception to the rule. I think technology can make you crazy. At least it can do me. But I know that's just my thinking. But anyway, she's doing marketing because I don't know how. But anyway, you asked how to get a hold of me. I guess just through my email, which is, do you have that?
I do have that, yes. So it's connectwithmaviskarn @gmail.com.
That's it. That's it. I've been accused of being a hermit, but I am a little allergic to spotlights, but Zoom has been great because I can't see what a crowd is. I could just, I'm just talking to these cool people from all over the world. It's just amazing.
It's great for introverts, isn't it, Zoom?
Pardon?
It's great for introverts, isn't it, Zoom?
It is. Yeah, it is. And I only have to dress up from here, my waist up. It's cool.
Even better.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Mavis? Or comments?
There's a person. There's some.
Ooh, just unmute yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, Mavis. I know that Mary has one as well. She's used the hand as well. Mine was more an experience that I wanted to share, just thanks to you. It's actually quite profound because it's been a long time. It feels like forever, but anyway, I'll explain what happened. About a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit less, I heard some of the very first webinars that you did with Grace. And on that webinar, oddly, it was like one of the, beside Michael Neal's stuff, which is kind of a little bit harder. He always talks about you and he says like your secret weapon, but I can never get access to you. Anyway, regardless, I had this experience where I listened to it and I really heard something deep. I heard something deep within you that was just so honest. You were talking about, I think it was The Secret. And I was like, there's something that Mavis is saying. And now I know it's within me, but at the time I thought it was within you because obviously I made that up. And I reached out to your old email and I wrote you an email and I said, can we have a conversation? Thinking there was no way. And you gave me your number and I called you. And I was in crisis. I was living with a very dangerous person who was using drugs and very psychotic, trying to kill himself regularly in the house. People on this call will understand because there are people who are in the community that saw me through this. And I remember like wisdom and how it flowed through you. And you used this example of your front porch. And I'd love if you could use the example again, because I don't know if you remember what you said, but you said something along the lines of, certain people you allow into your house, other people you sit on the porch and you wave as you go by. And it was just this profound moment. I didn't change for a while after, but where I was like, I've got a choice today. For the first time in my life, I understand that I'm creating my thinking. And actually, even though bad experience is happening, and I heard it again tonight, because I heard you say, and you say the exact same thing, but I just need to hear it deeper, which is, I'm a single mom, I'm on my own, I've got a child, I'm, not making the money that I used to make before I had a kid, and oh my God, it's terrible. But does everybody who works part-time and has a child at home feel the exact same way? No. I'm determined this is my thinking. And I was then. And you gently smacked me, but and I mean in a real gentle way. It was so loving because you were like, I was like, I'm gonna 3 principles this guy better. And you're like, no, actually, some people I just don't allow in my house, honey. And then that was it. And it was like I ended the call and I was like, but she hasn't fixed the problem, which is him. And actually you did. Because the problem was coming from my thinking and my understanding that I needed to fix him. And actually, weirdly, I needed to walk away. And since that time, today I was walking through my orchard at work and I was picking blackberries. And I remember a year ago, I couldn't even see the blackberries. I was so in my thinking, I couldn't see. I was looking at butterflies, beautiful British butterflies on the ground. I noticed there were butterflies, all different, different beautiful colors and shapes. And I was listening to something, another friend of mine who was speaking. And I just had this moment going, oh my God, I don't recognize myself. And this, you had, I needed someone to tell me that I had a choice about what I believed in my thinking. And you told me that. And Anne-Marie, I just wanted to say thank you for bringing Mavis to us. And Mavis, thank you for not, I can't even explain it. It was like just honesty rather than pandering to me wanting something that wasn't really real and wasn't safe. And you helped me look after my safety. And thank you for that.
Well, bravo. It's you're the one that did the changing. I'm really good at pointing at people for at their perfection. But you don't have to believe me. But you took it in and came home. Bravo. Thanks for the story. Welcome.
Mary Lamb would like to ask a question. You can mute yourself, Mary.
Yes. Hi, Mavis.
Hey.
Mavis, again, thank you. I don't know why. Every time when I listen to you, I just have to grin or smile, from year to year. It's just that overwhelming joy. Again, noticing you being such a great role model. And of course, I've listened to you several times, but for the first time, I caught the part about being a single mom, raising your children, and then eventually learning about, like how I totally was able to resonate with that. But there was something I caught on that I would love for you to maybe speak about it a little bit, or have you ever had that experience? Because in my journey now of getting to know the 3P, it truly has given me so much, aliveness. I used to focus on more on leadership development, for instance, and there was a point too I just couldn't go back to it. It was like my coaching can only be based on the 3P. But then recently, I've also noticed that I'm seeing a lot of connection, knowing that almost like 3P is like the foundation of everything, and seeing the connectedness, the connection. So I would love for you to even, have you ever noticed that, let's say, for instance, I have one client and she's a therapist right now, and she's been with me for a while, and now she wants to continue to work with me, but still at the same time it's like, well, since I'm a therapist, I want to be a client again. So I want to cut back a little bit on our time so that I can, go back to therapy. So I guess again, my question is, do you continue to see the connectedness of one discipline with another, or no judgment, or just it's all about exploration?
Well, I'm not sure I see the connections, but I see that people are reaching for the same thing. That people are trying to find that core thing. And I know I've read lots of books that people have written about thought and so forth, and so many of them, they'll get just close to what I'm talking about, but then they get lost in the content of thought. That they get lost in thinking we should figure out what we're thinking and why we're thinking it, and whether it's good to think that way, where it's bad to think that way, where we learn to think that, and what happens when we think that. And that leads nowhere. Leads nowhere. It keeps you real busy thinking about your thinking. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So for me, it's all about seeing that you're the artist in your own life. You're painting your own picture of life all the time. You're not the picture you painted, you're the painter. And you're the creator of the experience you're having. You're not the experience.
Right.
And if you really see that, it's so liberating. It's so freeing.
Yes.
It's like, if anybody thinks that because I've been around this for 40 years, I don't worry anymore, I don't get caught up in my thinking, that's not true. I'm not like flittering around like a butterfly. I'm just like, I mentioned high-tech stuff. I can tie myself in a knot in 30 seconds about my computer, right? And I have no interest in getting any better at that. I just want somebody to take care of it for me so I can do my work. Now, I know I could spend less time doing my work and spend a lot more time learning how to be proficient with computers and all that. I don't want to. So I want to just get out from under that, and unfortunately have this amazing person that's doing it for me. But the point is, any sort of treatment or help for people that involves trying to make a better past isn't going to work. You cannot have a better past. If you have some idea of how that can be done, I'd like to hear about it. But sorry, and I've got a whole lot of past that I can't do anything about. I got 81 years of past. Can't do a thing about any of it. Thank goodness. I've got work to do. I don't want to be messing with my past. So it's so simple. It's all about this moment is it. This is the only time any of us have right now. And now it's this moment. And now it's this moment. The past doesn't exist. It's just stored thought. The future, you may have noticed by now, has never shown up. You wouldn't think we'd spend so much time concerning ourselves with it. So all we can do anything about is right now. Right now. How do you want this now to be? And when we realize that we have a lot to say about our nows, it's so freeing. Even when I get tied up in something and I'm cranky or ornery about something or other, the difference between that happening now and how it used to happen, when it used to happen, is I don't care. I know it's not going to last long. I'll be smarter any minute. And I try not to make decisions when I'm cranky or not speak about it. I just don't feed it attention. It's so. In answer to your question, I don't even try to make connections. But I do know, for instance, I had a brother who has died now, but he was a Freudian analyst. He couldn't have been any different work than mine, so we didn't talk about work much. But he was my best friend all my life, and I know. He thinks being a Freudian analyst was what helped people. I know it was because he was one of the warmest, kindest, most respectful people you could ever meet. Walking into his office must have made people feel better. I told him that once. He said, "No, that's not it." Yes, it is. It's like in this work, in any work really, being ourselves is more than enough.
So may I still quickly ask you about reflection? What is your take about reflection? Because I've noticed some of my clients still would really love to say, well, I've really reflected upon this. or in some of the, again, disciplines really talks about reflection. How does that come into play in terms of, or like contemplation, for instance? How do you see if
I
that
don't,
fits
you
in
know,
or not?
people, whoever uses that word has their own idea of what it means. So I don't know what it would mean for other people. If I were going to use that term, I probably wouldn't use it, but if I was, I would mean, okay, if I'm puzzled about something, or if I want to understand deeper, or I want to see more, I will just say, okay, I want to know. It's like I'm talking to the universe or something. I would just say, okay, I want to see more about this. I'm going to get out of the way. Show me more. It's like opening the doors and the windows in your house to let fresh air in. But reflection to me would not mean studying and analyzing and processing and comparing. It wouldn't be that for me. It would be just opening my mind and letting whatever come to me. And the thing it has going for it, it always works.
I really like that. Thank you, Mavis. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I've got a question, Mavis. You said don't make a decision when you're cranky, and I understand that, but I had the experience back in 2016 where I was off sick from work for 3.5 months with anxiety and depression, and I found that after I hit that low spot, I had absolute clarity about what I needed to do next, which was leave where I was working. I just wonder what your thoughts were about that sort of situation.
I'm not sure what the question is.
Okay, so because you're saying don't make a decision when you're cranky, I just, in my experience, I found if I've hit an all-time low, once I settle, then I feel like I get clarity of thought.
Oh, okay. Now I got it. Okay. So you had been, you correct me if this isn't right. You had been for a long time in this state of mind that was kind of dark and scary.
Yeah.
But you had a brief second where you saw something.
Yeah.
Isn't that great? That in a split second, we can see something that we hadn't ever seen before. Now, the thing about, the thing about what we're learning about ourselves is that we can have a whole lot more of those than we thought we could. That we could have those kind of moments be more like our norm, rather than this kind of happy accident once every 10 years. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Perfect sense.
So you discovered something, and I don't know at the time if you knew you discovered something, but if you had not long after that run into someone who teaches what we teach, you'd go, oh, that's what happened to me. I had a break in the action there, and I got brilliant for a second or two.
Love that. Oh, Nicole has got her hand up. Can you just unmute yourself, Nicole?
Hello.
Hi.
Hiya, Mavis. I'm a bit nervous. You're a bit of a hero, if I'm honest. After hearing you speak with Michael Neal, the community that I'm in with Dawn, I was saying that I've got a post-it now that says, "What would Mavis do?" just to try and help me. No, there's a word. There's a.
Depending on what kind of mood she's in, who knows? Oh, that's funny. Thank you for that. That is really funny.
I have remap your life with Mavis Karn. I was like, I'm in. I want to remap my life. I'm so fed up with my job at the moment.
What do you
The
do?
bit that I teach at a college, but I've taught there for nearly 16 years, and I'm still waiting for a proper contract. So they've given us these contracts which they're not equitable. Anyway, so there's injustice, and I can feel myself getting worked up about it. Everybody else is getting paid at the moment. They're doing their work. I'm holding off doing my work. So I'm not going to be prepared for my students coming back, because I'm damned if I'm doing it and not being paid for it. Anyway, so I'm sort of going around in circles. Maybe I should leave, I should stop. And I know that obviously I shouldn't, but I haven't had any of those. What was it? What did you just say to Anne-Marie, the moment? What did you say? You said a phrase of the moment of being brilliant or genius or something. I don't have those moments. I don't recognize those moments of, I've always felt like intuition. I can talk myself out of anything. Like, I never know is that intuition or, anyway. So I'd like a slap around the face, if that's okay.
Oh, I'm not really into punching people, but at least not on purpose. See, your habit is probably like pretty much like mine used to be, that you just overthink everything. And I used to be an absolute ace at getting outraged at injustice. Oh my God. I bet smoke came out of my ears. It was just, but what I discovered is I wasn't very effective doing that. I could never change anything that way. Nothing ever changed. And all that happened is I just felt homicidal half the time. So that wasn't working. But see, the opposite of anger and outrage and frustration isn't passivity or hopelessness. It's calm resolve. When you get calm, when you just let, it's like being in a big room where there's a whole bunch of feathers flying all over, and your job is to get them to land. What do? That's it. Nothing. Feathers know how to land. And the more you try to get them to land, the more they'll fly all over the place. When you get calm, when you let all that noise go, you make room for new thought. It's astonishing how well we're made, that we can at any given moment retrieve a thought stored in this cauliflower thing up here. We can retrieve a thought, but we can also, when we just let go of our end of the rope, make room for a thought that didn't come from our brain. It came to it. Wow. Is that helpful or what? Now, you are made that way, whether you think you are or not. You seem to think you're not, that you just don't have those kinds of thoughts. Well, they're knocking on your door, but you're making so much racket you can't hear the door. So it's like you want to have a lot of faith and respect and trust in your own divine engineering, that you are made so well that without even working at it or trying to figure it out, you will see your next right step. And that's not maybe. That's just the logic of truth. You just didn't know that. And it's kind of a big thing not to know, but it's not your fault you didn't know it. Who's going to tell you? We come into the world knowing things, but we get miseducated out of it. So very shortly, you're going to have an insight that just comes on little cat feet. And you're going to see what you're going to do. And it's going to be ordinary common sense. And you're going to wonder, why didn't I think of that before? I promise. I'm not making it happen. You will quit preventing it.
Thank you. Yeah, the feather thing, that definitely resonated. Thank you.
Tom Mattox has got his hand up. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Oh, thanks, Anne-Marie. Hi, Mavis.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Are you Alan?
No, I'm Tom.
Oh, hi, Tom. You have a great scarf on.
Yeah, thanks.
You're easy to see.
Yeah, that helps. That helps. You know, I was just reflecting on something that was really fresh. That you know, yesterday I was in an appointment, doctor appointment, and trying to get something figured out. And you know, it's not bad, but it's not getting figured out in a way, you know, in a way that I would want. And I came out and I was walking, and it was so interesting because I was feeling really down, you know. And but what was also interesting is that I've had a few of these experiences now where I was feeling really down, but then I also felt like I was okay. And I felt like it's one thing to feel good because you feel good, but then to see that you can feel good even when you feel bad, like that's pretty cool.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So I don't know if that resonates with you or.
Oh yeah, I just think it's awesome that we can do that. You know, that as I mentioned, when I get cranky, the real me knows it's just a little thought storm. I'm fine. And I love that it's that way, that we can kind of be the observer of what we're creating and sometimes have a really good laugh about it.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, what I made up. You won't believe it.
Yeah, that's just it's really cool to because I think that's really the ultimate, is just feeling okay or feeling whatever, you know, just in a good place. And it reminds me, when I was first getting into this a couple of years ago, I had a similar experience where I had been very depressed, and then for a period of time, and then I came out of it and I was seeing things. But in the meantime, my doctor was so concerned. She had made an appointment with the social worker for me to talk to. But by the time I got to the social worker, I was feeling, it was kind of like you. I was trying to explain what had happened, and I said, I just realized I don't need to be happy in order to be happy. And she nodded, so she said she understood. So maybe.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? I don't know how to explain that. I know it's true.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to explain it, and I don't need to know how to explain it. But
right.
Just that it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sweet.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. That's great.
Yeah.
We've got 10 minutes left with Mavis. If anybody's got anything else they'd like to discuss.
Excuse me?
Sorry, I said we have 10 minutes left with you. If anybody's got anything else they'd like to discuss or talk to Mavis about.
Hello, can I? Hi,
Yep.
sorry, I'm calling from Sydney. I'm lying in bed. It's 5:21 a.m. Australia. Thank you, Mavis, and thank you, Alan. I wanted to ask you about obsessive compulsive overthinking. Let me call it this: addiction to overthinking and worrying. I'm ruminating in backwards and anxiety laden. but in an obsessive compulsive manner, revisiting the same issues, normally the same three, like you finish a round of worrying and you do a few things, you understand the 3P in an, well, some intellectual or whatever, you know, okay, just do the next best thing, what's in front of you. And then you return to it again, the same worrying, sabotaging whole days. Sorry, just what are your thoughts on this, Mavis? I've heard your wisdom, and I've heard Michael Neal refer to you as well, and it's always a grounded, warm presence you give. Thank you.
Well, you know, whatever you call it, all it is you're kind of right. It's an addiction to thinking too much. But the question really is then, how do you feel?
Hmm.
And where do you feel it? In your body, where do you feel how you don't want to feel? It's a physical sensation. Do you know where you feel it?
It's a compulsion. It's like needing control now, so I feel okay now, and needing
Okay,
that
so you're not-
reassurance.
Okay, let's see. Maybe you can get everybody else in on this too. Let's try something. Do we have a few minutes here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Those of you who are up for it, just wherever you're sitting, just sit there and close your eyes and see if you can get yourself a little upset about something. Not a lot. Let's not go crazy here. Just get yourself a little upset about something, and then notice where in your body you're feeling that tension. Just take your time. And as soon as you can tell where you feel it, put your hand on where you feel it. Okay. So we don't have a whole lot of time here. So how about if I just make a guess that you felt it in your chest, some heaviness in your chest, or like a knot in your stomach, or some pressure in your head, or constriction in your throat, something like that, or all of the above. Okay, so now see if you can do that again. See if you can recreate it. And when you've created the disturbance, follow it wherever it wants to go. Not your thinking, just follow the sensation wherever it wants to go, and take your time with that. So what did you notice? Anybody?
I just started to feel really happy.
Anybody else? What did you notice?
I felt the pressure coming out of me, releasing.
Wild.
Releasing.
Did anybody else feel that?
I had the constriction because I have it in my jaw, and the constriction just ended up, it felt literally like it just faded round to the back and my tongue was loosened.
So let me tell you the physics behind that, because it's not magic. We can't slip a thought by our body. We experience our thinking physically in our body. Every thought is a physical sensation. And those physical sensations are guiding us in the use of our thinking. They're letting us know the quality of the experience we're creating. We feel it physically. So when we are disturbing ourselves, we feel the disturbance in our chest or our stomach or jaw or whatever. And that feeling is just saying, hey, follow me. I'll show you the way back home. Isn't that handy?
Wonderful.
Love it.
Isn't that just the handiest thing ever? You don't have to figure anything out. That feeling is there to let you know how it feels to think the way you're thinking. Follow it. It's like it'll take you out of the woods and back home. Every time. It's not like it's a handy little thing that works sometimes. It works all the time. Your feelings are letting you know all the time. It's not just that they let you know when you're terrorizing yourself or worrying yourself. They let you know when you're being yourself. It feels warm and soft and peaceful, but strong.
I love that.
Lovely.
We are made so well, honestly. We have apps we have no idea we have, but that's one of them. And now you know you have it.
Yeah.
It's free. It's built in. Ah, such a deal.
That was a great way to end it.
Thank you.
You are most well. You're thanking me for something you have. Isn't that wild?
I'm going to put your details. So this is going on YouTube after I finish recording. So I'll put Mavis's details under the description so people can access you really easily. Just click on the link and be able to email you if they need to. And also, if anybody has said anything during the course of the video that they don't want to be put onto YouTube, if you can just let me know sooner rather than later. And I think that's it. And thanks everybody for coming. And thank you very much for Mavis for being here.
You are welcome. Hi, everybody.
Thank you, Mavis.
Oh,
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You know, all of
Thank you. That's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Thank you, Mavis.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Thank you, Mavis.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.